What's up, brother? Coach Mitch here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. Now, first thing I want to say is you may notice that this video is not as crisply edited as videos in the past, and that's because my editor is currently taking a little bit of a break. Hopefully we get him back. But if you are a video editor, you're watching this right now, or you know someone who's really good at video editing, then feel free to drop a comment down below and get in touch with me. Perhaps you could be the new editor for the Unbreakable Man podcast. You know, if you want to help the cause and you think you can make this thing look schmick as well, then by all means, let me know down below and I can get in touch with you and see if you can help us out. So this week's episode of Unbreakable Man podcast is inspired by a conversation that I had this morning down at Main Beach with the men that were attending this week's session of Hour of Power, which is a free session that I run down at Main Beach for men every single Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can join us at 6 a.m. down at Main Beach on the Gold Coast if you're a Gold Coast man. Anyway, the topic of conversation for the end of the session today was about being a man of our word. And I think that is an incredibly important trait for a man to have. I think it's certainly a masculine trait. Everyone should be a person of their word, but I think for men, it's a responsibility. It's absolutely crucial. Because when you think of the kind of men that you want to spend time with, perhaps trust and reliability is the most important thing that you might want in those people. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to have fun friends, but if they're fun, unreliable, untrustworthy friends, are you really going to want to spend that much time with them? But if you think of your best mate, he's probably someone that you can always rely on for help. He's probably someone that you can always rely on for honest advice. And someone you can rely on to do the thing that they say they're going to do. So when you think of some of the people in your life that you have the closest relationships with, especially blokes, maybe that's a factor that seems to be common in all of those male relationships that you have in your life. So I think that shows that this is a really important trait for a man to have. And it's not just in those friendships that you might have in your life, but also what is it that women want from us? They want us to be reliable. They want to know that we've got this, or we have the things that we say we've got, right? They want to know that if we say we're going to do something, or we're going to create a certain outcome, that we're going to do whatever is required to create that outcome. Women are looking for men like that all the time. You know, and if you're a man in a relationship right now, you want your woman to feel like you're that man for her. And that's only going to come if you're actually doing those things. You're actually making good on those promises that you make to her and to the people around you, and perhaps even more importantly, and that is going to be the theme of this episode, the promises that you inadvertently make to yourself as a result of giving someone your word. So one of the things that I think is really, really important for men is confidence, right? And being a man of your word is an integral part of having self-confidence. Because when you break down what self-confidence is, it's really your ability to rely on yourself to get the job done. That's all self-confidence is. If you know that you can do this thing, then you're going to be confident in doing it. Or if you know that you're the kind of man who's willing to do the work, then you're confident that you're going to do the work. And so if we make the mistake of not staying true to our word too often, we lose confidence in ourselves as men. Because we're not just lying to other people when we don't show up like we say we're going to. We're also lying to ourselves. Because we remember each of those instances where we haven't shown up like we said we would, where we haven't produced the outcome that we said we would, where we haven't done the work that we said we were going to do. We remember all of those instances. And so the next time we say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to produce this outcome, there's a little voice in the back of our heads that says, really? Are you going to do that? And that doubtful voice grows the more times that we fail to stay true to our word. And then we have no confidence in our ability to show up because we haven't done it in the past. Confidence is based on evidence of what we have already done. And we would have a lot of evidence of us not showing up, of us not following through on the things that we said we were going to follow through on. And that's the reason why a lot of men struggle with self-confidence right now, because they don't have that evidence of being the guy who just has a go, at the very least has a go and gives it his best, hopefully. So as a man watching the Unbreakable Man podcast, if you're a long-time listener, you want to be more confident, I'm assuming. And that's a simple thing that you could do to become more confident within yourself. Not how you outwardly appear to other people, but just you having a little bit more certainty with the kind of man that you are, and that you are the kind of man that you want to be, simply by being a man of your word. Now, here's another part of being a man of your word as well, which is really important too. And this is another mistake that a lot of men make. If you don't want to do something, then just don't say you're going to do it, right? For example, I run the Unbreakable Man program, and it's my job to train my guys, make sure they're showing up consistently. And it bums me out when a man says he's going to be there and doesn't show up, and doesn't have, and the reason was, I was tired or something like that. You know what I mean? Because now I can't rely on that person to be true to their word. But at the same time, that guy might be going through something really difficult and challenging in his professional or personal life. And so in those moments where you're not certain whether you want to commit to something, don't say you're going to commit to it. A lot of guys find themselves in this place of failing to stay true to their word because they overcommit, because they become a people pleaser and wanting to say yes to everybody, when in actual fact they don't really want to say yes. So that's something else we've got to consider when it comes to being true to our word. And remember, being true to our word is not lying to other people, but also not lying to ourselves. So it's important that we make sure we are following through with the things we say we're going to do. And part of that is not saying we're going to do things that we actually have no interest in doing or no intention of really doing. We've got to stop and think for a second and go, is this what I want? Is this important enough for me to allocate the time and the energy to this particular action? And if the answer is no, then when that person asks you, hey, are you going to do this? You tell them, no, I'm not going to do that. Or I don't have the time for that right now. It's just not a priority for me. Just be open and honest with that. And that's absolutely fine. That's part of the process of being a man of your word. And if you are someone who is more of a people pleaser, which, look, that's part of your personality, fair enough. But an improvement for you here, because then you end up being a people pleaser who doesn't show up. So you're not pleasing anyone. You're doing the opposite, right? An improvement for you here would be to be honest with your intentions to do something or not do something, and people actually will respect you more. They respect your time more as well. And they will respect your integrity with your decision of not to commit to certain things as much as your decision to commit to certain things. Because now they can rely on you to either do something or not do something. And both of those things are important. So that's another part of staying true to our word as men, is to actually think about whether this is something we really want to do. Am I committed to showing up in this way? And if the answer is no, then say that. don't overcommit yourself. And one of the last things that we spoke about at this session this morning that sparked the idea for this episode is one of the men that was sitting down with us talking about this said that he would often not write down his goals and not create those intentions or put those intentions out into his environment with his family or his mates or whatever it might be, because he didn't want to be held accountable to doing those things. And that's kind of the point of this episode. You're making a contract. When you say you're going to do something as a man, you're making a contract of here's my part in this. I'm committing to this. And outside of, unfortunate circumstances, it's your responsibility to show up and do that thing that you said you were going to do. However, if you are struggling to put your name on those social contracts as a man because you're afraid of failing, that's also a problem. Because if you want to do the thing, but you're afraid it doesn't work out, and so you say no, that's also a problem. We had a really good chat about that this morning. And here's because a lot of men are afraid of failure, and that's exactly what this fellow was saying this morning when he was opening up about this. And everyone has that experience. Nobody likes to lose. Nobody likes to be seen as a man that's not capable of doing something they said they were going to do, because it's a stark reminder that we are not good enough right now. And nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to put themselves out there in competition in something, or to demonstrate something that they actually aren't sure they can do. Nobody wants to put themselves out there and find out on the spot that, no, you're actually not good enough to do this right now. But here's something that's worth considering. If you don't try and just basically hold off from making those commitments or setting those intentions and telling other people, and you fail to try, you're also failing. You're still not good enough. You're just not doing anything to fix it. At least if you are trying to do something and you find out in the process of trying that thing that you're not good enough right now, at least then you are taking steps to fix the thing that you are currently not good enough at to eventually become good enough. If you are inadvertently stepping away from those things that you know you want to do, like if you say, I want to lose weight, but you never take the steps to say, hey, look, my beautiful wife, I'm trying to lose weight right now. Or to my mates, hey guys, I want to lose 10 kilos. If you never take those steps and start to make those moves, you never lose the 10 kilos. And even though you haven't told anyone, so no one else knows that you failed to lose 10 kilos that you wanted to lose, you've still failed to lose the 10 kilos. You're still 10 kilos heavier than you actually want to be. So you're no better off. And in fact, you're worse off than the guy who wanted to be 10 kilos lighter and failed initially to make that change, but tried again and eventually got there. So fear of failure is a massive part of why I think a lot of men don't give their word to certain things, even things that they're interested in, that they want to do. However, this is what I want you to remind yourself of. If you're in that trap, remember, by not trying, you're still failing. In fact, you're failing even worse than the people that are trying and are finding out that they're not good enough yet. Because right now, you don't even know what you need to change because you haven't tried yet. You must allow yourself to fail in order to get it right. And I know that that's a scary thing. However, this is the Unbreakable Man podcast, all right? We are not letting our silly fears about what other people think about our efforts today stop us from getting to where we want to be. If you're watching this right now, you're a listener of the Unbreakable Man podcast, surely that means that you're interested in becoming an unbreakable man, a man that gets what he wants out of life, despite life's challenges and the barriers that he faces along the way. If you're a consistent listener of this podcast, I'm assuming that that's what that means. So I'm assuming that you're unwilling to allow other people's negative opinions of your failure in the moment, not overall, just your failure in this moment, to stop you from doing the things in your life that you know you want to do to become the man that you want to be. You're an unbreakable man, brother. And so am I. That means you and I do not have the luxury of quitting just because we're afraid of what other people might think if it doesn't work out the first time. And that's going to be necessary if you want to be successful, mate. It's going to be necessary if you want to be a great father. It's going to be necessary if you want to be fit and healthy. It's going to be necessary if you want to be mentally strong and prepared to get through anything that comes your way. You must be willing to fail because you are going to fail. And the men that you look up to, think of someone you admire right now. Next time you speak to that person, if it's someone that you know personally, you know of their wins because they share their wins. We all do. But next time, ask them about the failures. Ask them about all the mistakes they made along the way. Ask them about the days where they were so done and thinking about quitting on their dream, their project, the thing that you admire about them. Ask them about those days, and I guarantee they'll have an answer because they've experienced it, because that's part of being good at something. So in conclusion, my man, stay true to your word. If you say that you're going to do something and you want to be the best man that you can be for yourself, for your partner, for your kids, for your friends, for your employees, employers, the people you interact with, if you want to be the best man you can be for yourself and them, you must do this. If you say you're going to do something, show up and do it to the best of your abilities on the day. You might, if you say you're going to go down to the gym with your friend, even if you've had the worst day in the world, you're feeling completely low on energy, get in there and do something. Do something. Get that shitty workout out of the way, but get it done because you said you were going to do it. And the people in your life, when they see you do those things over and over and over again, man, the level of respect and love that you're going to get from those people, you can't buy that stuff. You can only earn it through those sorts of actions. So stay true to your word. Do not say yes to things that you actually want to say no to. Don't be a people pleaser. If you don't want to do something, then don't commit to it, because then you're going to let people down simply by not showing up to something that you actually never wanted to do. So don't say yes to things that you do not mean to say yes to. And last but not least, my friend, if you want to say yes to something, but you really say no because you're afraid of what people might think if you fail, then just remember that if you don't do it, you're still a failure because you're going nowhere and you're not getting the result that you said you wanted to get. So you're failing regardless. But at least if you try, then you're learning what you need to do to take whatever that next step's going to be. And then you try again and maybe you fail again and you learn again what you need to do to take the following step. And that is a part of everyone's journey to success and freedom and strength and confidence. And that's what it's going to take to become an unbreakable man. You can do it. It's absolutely within your realm of possibility, my friend. And there's a lot of resources and tools and people that you can use to help you get there as well. So, look, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to add, by all means, comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like this video if you enjoyed the message of it. Share it with a friend if you can think of someone who needs to hear this right now. Subscribe to the channel if that was something that also interested you as well. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. Cheers.